What is up, Panther Nation? This is Nick. I am Real Coverage. We're about to jump into it. Today I'm breaking down press conference by Frank Reich. I'm going to jump over to it. So first of all, I want to get my thoughts out. This first, like I put up there, is the interview from November 13th, 2023. Sorry, I had to look over at the date. But yeah, this is Frank Reich. He's just meeting with this press conference. I haven't watched it. I've seen a few people post it. Shout out to Growls Run Roar and a bunch of different ones. Actually, shout out to him. He was actually just on ESPN Wimbledon this morning, so mad props to him. Go 2 Growls, 1 Roar. I believe in you, bro. But first of all, I want to talk about this guy, okay? Personally, until this year, I was a big Frank Reich fan. I understand the Colts. I understand. A lot of guys are going to call me a Frank Reich stan, all that other stuff. I'm not. I actually think, and I'm going to say this right now, just in case for the record, I do think that Frank will take the fall for Scott Fitterer's failures. This roster is very subpar, like we've seen in a few interviews from Tepper, where he thought that he could really slink out on wide receivers. Again, I also just put out a video where where I broke down that Mingo was overdrafted. Mingo was a high third pick, and if we would have gone with that, we could have absolutely gotten a better option. We keep going for tight ends for some reason, obviously with Tremble, Thomas, and Hurst. Hurst being from a trade, but yeah, I believe in Reich. I believe in so much that this organization has. But the one thing I don't believe in is the roster construction. So I'm not going to give him a pass on that, but I'm going to give him his chance. I will be pausing this to kind of understand what he's saying. But let's jump right into it. Again, please, Frank, don't let me down here, but I'm already feeling like it's there.
Back to work after a Thursday night game.
Thursday night blowout, by the way.
I'm looking forward to our next opponent here at home.
Next opponent is the Cowboys, which are going to demolish us. But I foresee this. This will be Thomas Brown's offensive bounce-back game because he's going to get more options. Because I do think this would be one where if I could take, like, say, for example, Bryce Young, 2 interceptions, I'd probably take that just because that Cowboys defense is ridiculous, and I'm really worried about the pain that they can inflict on Bryce, especially with our poor line, but hopefully he addresses that.
Just players locked in, had a chance to go through the film, really evaluate the highs and lows of that last game. As we always kind of come in no matter what on a Monday, digest that, learn from it, right, and then have a clear vision.
Okay, the first thing I'm going to address, a lot of people are going to see this press conference and say, man, he's really like low energy. He's X, Y, and Z, right? I don't agree with that. I think that his energy is good. His energy is not perfect, but his energy is where it needs to be. He needs to display strength. He needs to be stoic. He needs to kind of be there and take the brunt of it, which so far I have given him mad props for. In fact, I'm going to find the tweet if I can, and I'm going to put it up. Hopefully it's up right now. Where I said that I believed Frank Reich was taking this heat to give Thomas Brown the opportunity to grow. I still think that's the case, even though there's a rumor that he might not keep Thomas Brown as the play caller. But I think it's really going to be dependent on this game. If he takes it away from Thomas Brown for the Cowboys, I think it's just because he doesn't want Thomas Brown's offense to get exposed and then everything fall on Thomas Brown. He's the head coach. He's going to do the right thing. He's going to take it on the chin, and he's going to keep moving. So that's one thing. A lot of people were going after him like he was not screaming on the sidelines and everything and throwing chairs and all this other stuff, the whole Bobby Knight reference. But I want a head coach to be calm. I want my head coach to be strong, a rock of the organization. I want these guys to believe in him. Now, obviously, the whole believing thing, we can get into that in another day. But I like this about him. I like that he's able to just convey what he believes. And that he believes in, what he has right now. Obviously, he doesn't have another choice, but I don't subscribe to the narrative that he has to scream and jump on the sidelines to be an effective head coach. That's just my opinion. Let's continue.
As we move forward in the week of how to get better.
With that said, do you plan on making any notable changes either to the offensive line, coaching staff, the depth chart in general?
We're still evaluating, the lineups. There are no coaching changes. Still evaluating.
That's a good answer. I think you need to readdress things. The offensive line, wide receiver. We might be getting back J.C. Horn. There's a few things like that. I agree that we shouldn't shake it up and we shouldn't all of a sudden, put DJ Chark as wide receiver 5 and stuff like that. We should continue with what we believe is the best moving forwards. Unfortunately, like I've said, and I've continued to say, and I was again ahead of everybody else for, and I will absolutely break my arm, pat myself on the back for that, is I've told everybody from the beginning this is a personnel problem and not a coaching. I truly believe that it doesn't matter what coach we had, Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni, it don't matter. Shane Steichen even. I don't think that this offense would get better. The personnel is just not there. People always complain about the screen passes and everything like that, but we just can't get the ball down the field. We can't protect Bryce enough to even have those receivers get down the field, considering we have no true burner with Chark hurt. But again, I don't even think Chark is a real number one. So let's just keep going.
The lineup, and talking about, is it a rotation thing? Do we want to rotate some guys more or less? Make any changes? Honestly, those discussions are every week because
the number one that most people are going to go to is Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard. I'll give you all that argument. I'm still a big, huge Booby Sanders. Again, I love it. His name on there is Booby. Can't get over it. Think it's awesome. But he's that elusive back, that Christian McCaffrey. Of course, he's not Christian McCaffrey, and I'm not comparing him to that, but I'm saying they play the same style, more of that agile, quick running back that can honestly break a few tackles and really get off. But we haven't seen that so far, so he has underperformed to this point. But again, I think every running back for the most part would have a problem. This O-line is arguably bottom 3 in the NFL, and when it's hurt, it's dead last. I think the Giants can cover more than we can, but that's just my opinion.
We do feel good about, some positions where we have some depth, and you want to
assume he's meaning wide receiver because we don't have depth anywhere else. But even then, again, I don't think that wide receiver's depth is really depth. I think it's very shallow. Weird, stupid joke, but still.
Get a chance to get a look at guys who you think are playing at a high level, not just to get a look at them, but you think can play winning football, and give guys opportunities.
Just to be clear, does that mean Thomas will continue to call the offense?
No, have not totally, dialed that in. Pretty much what, as I've said, we've been collaborative.
That is, again, I'm going to keep my tinfoil hat theory and stay on this and say that he is protecting Thomas Brown right now and doing everything he can to do that. Obviously, he's a rookie, offensive coach and play caller. He obviously did a bit with Sean McVay, but in this stuff, he's a rookie with our team with this composition, the scheme, and everything like that. So just like I'm giving Frank Reich, this is his first year. I understand he's been a head coach before. This is a completely different situation, different coaching staff, different quarterback, a rookie at that, a bad owner, all that other stuff. So I'm giving a lot of them a little bit more cachet than they deserve. I'm also giving Frank Reich a little bit more cachet because he is our first Panthers quarterback through our first touchdown, the whole 9. I understand he's not the greatest quarterback, but he is a Super Bowl winning OC from the Eagles, or his time with the Eagles. So I just believe, and I take this back. I want to believe in Frank Reich because right now I don't know of a better option. Simple as that.
In much of what we do, I'm still evaluating the whole thing, and so, and how it actually is going to function or not. But
is there a chance you might be more collaborative than you have been the last few weeks?
I'm really just thinking the whole thing through. First of all,
again, this is him thinking long term, how it's going to affect his other coaches. And this is, again, I'm going to give Frank a pass on this. I like that he's taking ownership. I like that he's protecting these guys. It's the one thing that I must say is my favorite quality about him.
However we've done the play calling, who's ever been doing the play calling, we haven't performed as an offense. So let me just make that point clear, first of all. As I look towards, now the last half of the season, what's the best dynamic and why?
And see, that's the thing. Like, people keep saying, like, oh, he's going to bring the McVay offense, beating Thomas Brown. I just don't. They had a better personnel, and obviously now with Puka and Cooper Kupp and all that other stuff, they have even better personnel than us. So I don't think we can just drag and drop it. But
any decision that's ultimately made is, is just going to be based on that one pure factor. So that's how we'll approach it.
Frank, that said, we've seen you hold yourself accountable with play calling and stuff like that. What's your approach generally to a player or a coach that might be underperforming from an accountability standpoint?
Oh, we have in our meetings on Monday, we show the tape, and that we let the tape talk.
That's all I got to say. Good.
But those things are just in there. I would never in a million years come to a press conference and say, hey, we held this guy accountable, we held that guy accountable. Those are all in-house things.
In-house, he's making those decisions. He's sitting up at this podium, taking it on the chin. Keep going.
And, listen, for us as coaches and players, this is probably strange to maybe some, but we love that part of it. You have to embrace being challenged. You have to embrace being held accountable, because ultimately, it pushes you to be better as a coach or a player. And we're trying to be the best in the world at something. And right now, we're not playing good football on offense in particular. So that's going to mean holding, like I helped and talked to the guys about. Talked again about that fourth down call, for instance.
And I agree with that. A lot of people, especially Two Growls and Keep Purring, all these different, Twitter analysts and everything like that I converse with on a daily basis. Shout out all y'all. I do agree that fourth down call wasn't the right one. But at that point, we couldn't get a chunk play. So if Frank Reich, schemes up a play, they do it, and it's intercepted, or God forbid it's dropped or something like that, then it would be like, oh, Frank should have done X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. So I feel like that fourth down call is a bit of an albatross. A lot of people are going to use that as a cudgel to go after Frank Reich, and fair. I'll give you that. It's fair.
So I told the guys why I can hold myself accountable in front of you guys. I don't care about me holding myself accountable with you guys, but that's why I tell the team, here's why we should have gone for it, and we can talk to each other in there, because anything goes in there, because we're all obsessed with getting better and we all want to win. So because of that, we're willing to hold each other accountable and push each other.
Do you believe that verbal
That's all I got to say.
accountability over action is something that works a little bit better?
I believe it's a lot of things. I believe there is something to verbal accountability that you got to stand up, own the mistake. But then there needs, you need to show action. You need to show evidence that you've learned from your mistake. So you need both.
Speaking of, the offense is doing poorly, but the defense is still performing well. Can you talk about the job that Israel and that group have done through this dry spell?
Yeah, Jero and the defensive staff, the unit has done a very nice job.
That's the one. I don't know what it is. I'm just not giving the DC, I guess, enough credit or whatnot. Fair to me. I'll take the lumps for it. I just don't think that the defense has played to the greatest level. Obviously, they've had some games where they really kept us in it. And the offense threw us out of the game or ran us out of the game or whatnot. But I just don't. Yes, it's a shining accomplishment, but a shiny spawn on a turd, it's still a turd. So that's just my opinion.
Playing really good team defense, very consistent, playing together. Very happy with what the defense is doing, and need to keep doing it. This week obviously be a big challenge with the Cowboys and high-powered offense.
Gives me a challenge. Jesus, that's an understatement. Understatement of the year, maybe.
Coming into the stadium, so it'll be a great challenge for our defense.
What would it mean to get, say, JC back and getting other people back? Burns.
JC and Burns coming back would be great. Luvu, everybody healthy. I hope.
Back. How is not having JC impacted this defense overall?
Well, I think the guys have done a good. Obviously you miss JC a lot. I mean, the guy is a great player, and love.
And full disclosure, I was a huge JC fan of him coming out. I personally was one of the people that really liked Horn over Surtain, but I understand why Denver took Surtain. Obviously, it makes more sense now. JC was one of those physical, in-your-face, man-to-man corners, and I absolutely love that, but obviously his body is betraying him since he got in the NFL. From his draft profile, it didn't look like he had any previous injuries in college for the most part. It looks like it all happened post-college career, so it could just be one of those guys that his body just gives up on him, and if so, I feel terrible for him because he could have had a great career. I'm hoping that he comes back and is able to show us all what we all thought he was coming out of college.
Of his attitude, great teammate. but he's a high-quality player. Now, I think the guys have played really well. I think the secondary has played very well in his absence. Dante Jackson had a particularly good game this last week.
I agree. As much as I hate to say that, but I do think he'll get traded, or we're going to get him for a cheap extension. But corners are the one thing we should always look for more of, because you can never have too many great corners.
Boodle made a couple nice plays. Safeties, Vaughn and Xavier both played.
Von Bell, great pickup. I'm very happy with him so far, as long as he's healthy.
Well. So, we'll just, we'll continue to take it from there. But this is one of the advantages of, you get a lot of guys hurt, which is a bad thing. But then
we are honestly one of the most hurt teams in the league. I forget who had. I was just listening. Siciliano is hosting Rich Eisen. He talked about a team that had the Bengals had 18 or 19 guys on the injury report. I think we're probably 1, 2, or 3 for the most injuries so far over the course of the NFL season. If anybody has that stat, please drop it below. I want to know.
You get guys who step up and play well. Now, when those other guys get back healthy, you have a better team.
Frank, in talking about that accountability piece, when you talk through tape with Bryce, how does he sort of process that? What's it like talking through at a granular level with him, the things that went well, the things that went poorly?
Well, some of that should just be between us in the room. I will just say this as a general statement. He is very hard on himself, like all the best players I've ever been around. They're all extremely hard on themselves.
And it's a good thing to hear that these guys are not only hard on themselves, but they're holding each other accountable in behind the scenes meetings. So I'm happy about that.
I mean, extremely hard on themselves, almost to a fault. Like, you have to say, no, that wasn't your fault. We should have helped you out there. That guy needed to make that play, or we needed to make that block or that catch. But no, Bryce is, the first thing he's going to say is, I got to be better.
And I understand. Again, I've said in multiple videos, I have the Frank Reich view of it: tall, strong, fast, mobile quarterbacks. So Bryce wasn't my first option. Obviously, the accuracy was great in college, but he was playing with a much more elevated offensive line, better wide receivers, and played against more subpar competition, as opposed to now everybody is as good as the best players on Alabama. So I believe in Bryce. I just hope we can keep that man alive, because at this point he's gonna he might be the first quarterback to literally be killed because of his offensive line. So
it's real. So that's what you need from your leaders, that they're hard on themselves, but they still have that positive outlook and confidence that they know they're the best in the world. So you don't want to just be hard on yourself all the time and then not have the confidence to overcome it. And that's what I see in talking to Bryce. I hear him take accountability, but I see and feel the confidence in his voice that, hey, we're going to get that right.
Frank referenced before that, even some of the best quarterbacks have struggled as a rookie. How does he kind of balance that long-term development versus today sort of mentality?
I think, having
before he goes into it, his only concern should be to be healthy, get the ball out, don't turn the ball over. That's it. I don't need you to throw for 5,000 yards. I don't need you to throw for 30 touchdowns. If we win or lose every game, but you get 7 to 14 points on the board every time through you, Bryce Young, I'm super happy with that, and we can win games. But I need him to develop, protect himself, and obviously the organization has to buy into that as well. I don't want this to turn into an Andrew Luck situation where Bryce Young is retiring at 27 after his first major contract. So I want to make sure he's with us for a long time, but if we can't make him succeed, we need to figure out what the next option is. So let's hear what Frank has to say.
Perspective of, the historical perspective of rookie quarterbacks can be a backdrop to understand and give a little perspective, but we're primarily going to be driven by the results that we're seeing now, and we should. But sometimes the historical perspective and understanding the struggles of a lot of great quarterbacks over a long time can help just give me, okay, I'm not going to lose my mind. I'm not real happy right now. We all have to get better, but I understand that, I'm not
There we go. I understand, and I appreciate that.
alone here. Okay, there's some pretty good people, alongside me that have had some similar struggles, and so that maybe gives us all just a little bit more, okay, it's not an excuse, because we all are very driven to get it right, just like he is, we all are.
Frank, on Bryce, Why have we seen him so seldom work under center? And
Because he's not comfortable under center. I'm going to answer that, and then I'm going to listen to Frank. He's not comfortable under center because the offensive line is subpar. They've subbed him out multiple times for Andy Dalton to do a sneak play. He's either the quarterback or he's not. So pick one. If he's not the quarterback, we need to trade for somebody else. But God forbid, I saw somebody say that we should trade Bryce Young to the 49ers. Hell no, do not give them Bryce Young. If a team like the 49ers or a great team, the Steelers, were able to get a hold of a Bryce Young would probably win, 10 plus playoff games in the next 10 years. So I don't want to get rid of him. He's not a bust. It's too early. Just like it's too early for me to just jump all over Frank. Yes, he's going to get the can, but I don't know if it should be now. I personally wouldn't. I would at least give him until this time next year, maybe fire him mid-season next year if we start off with another 1-7, 1-5, whatever start. But that's just me.
seems like there would be some benefits to that, especially like where play action is concerned.
That's just that is a philosophical question, that I could say there are some benefits from being under center. You just have to weigh in the overall picture, the pros and cons of that move.
Yeah, getting your quarterback murdered.
We do feel like, we run some pistol, and I do think pistol complements being under center. Is it the exact same? No, it's not the exact same. Is play action a little bit better under center than is pistol? Probably a little bit better. But then we think there's some other advantages from being in gun. We do want to be a mix. We do want to have a little bit of under center. We don't, we're going to mostly be in gun. That's mostly who we'll be. That's what Bryce has been good at his whole life. He had 2% of his snaps in college were 1 or 2% were under center.
That's interesting. That's not a stat that I knew. I would assume that being in Alabama, who would at least be higher than 2% under center. But if that's the case, that tells me that Frank is developing the scheme for the players. He's developing the scheme for the personnel, but the personnel isn't up to par. Oh, you mean the same thing I've been saying. Again, breaking my arm, pat myself on the back.
We have introduced that. He does do it. He does feel comfortable doing it. There's no problems doing it. But as we continue to develop what we're doing as an offense, for right now, it's just going to be a smaller part.
Go ahead.
Sorry. With that said, it does benefit Bryce in theory with philosophy, but do you think that you have the tools around him that can benefit from that as well?
Yeah, and it just goes to, and again, I don't want to, say everything that we're trying to do schematically, but in the big picture, I will say this: we want to be a physical football team who can run the ball on their own terms.
Okay. So with that statement right there, the video I just did on Jonathan Mingo makes sense on why they took him. Jonathan Mingo was known as an above-average blocker, which if they're going to attempt to establish a very competent run game, would make sense. Laviska would make sense because people have called him, or I think Frank has even said it, like he thinks he's close to Debo. I don't think so. I think he's a mid-XFL style receiver, but that's just me. Sorry, Laviska, I haven't seen it yet. You put it out here on the field for the Panthers this year, you got my vote. But right now, sorry. Same thing with Chark. I just don't believe in them right now. So I understand what they were going with, but they also plan on this offensive line being better. And this offensive line is hot garbage. So I think that's just a problem. That's one of many problems, but that is the main problem. The offensive line is so bad. We can't buy Bryce time to pass the ball downfield. And even if we did, our guys can't get open. We want to run the ball more, but we can't establish a run because the offensive line collapses. So it's just an interesting one. Obviously, Chuba has come in and he's shown that he's really good, but we didn't commit to Chuba last year, the year before, or the year before that. I thought we should have, gotten another really great running back like him. For the Christian McCaffrey trade, I personally would have shipped his ass to Tennessee and gotten Derrick Henry and run Derrick Henry, Chuba Hubbard, play action, the whole nine. It would have been really fun, especially with Bryce Young, but that's just my 2 cents.
Do we want to be smash mouth football, under center, power? No, that's not who we're trying to.
And they're not doing that because Bryce Young can't handle that. If they had taken C.J. Stroud, they are a smash mouth play action. I believe that they move to an offense closer to the Ravens offense than what they have right now.
We're not trying to be that. So, but there are other ways to be very physical and dominant from the gun, running a lot of different things, but it's just not that smash mouth power football.
I agree with that. You picked up 2 swift backs, so there are you're running 2 swift. I don't need to pick them both. You picked up Sanders, who is more of an elusive back as opposed to a power back, and obviously Chuba. I wouldn't consider either of them power backs, but that's just me.
Is stature part of the reason you have them in pistol?
No, some of it is, hey, do what your players do best, and he's really good from the shotgun.
Yeah, because he took 98% of his snaps from pistol or shotgun. So, makes sense now, especially with a lot of the questions. If you haven't watched this press conference, you need to watch it. This is explaining some of the problems that we're having.
And allows him, as we continue to develop, RPO stuff, when you're under center, that stuff, it's non-existent, but he's good at, he can get the ball out quick and accurate. We haven't been as productive in some of those areas.
Okay, welcome back from that very brief intermission. Just had to take care of some stuff here in real life. Going to break down the last 3.5, 4 minutes of this little press conference we've been breaking down. So let's get right back to it.
Areas as we want to be, and we got to continue to work on that. But that's one of the advantages of him being in gun. It does bring an element to the run game on some of the RPO stuff that you don't have from under center.
Frank Reich said after the game, he called the game Thursday night, that you
Curious if anybody has really done the breakdown of the all 22 of this, which I haven't. If anybody ever does it live, feel free to send me a DM. I'd love to get in there, see what you guys are seeing and everything. I want to know their thoughts on how the RPO is affected by taking it from pistol or shotgun.
just don't have the players to run the offense that you want to run with Bryce. Is there an element of truth?
There. I'm going to make a short out of this. That head shake right there tells me everything that I've been saying, revalidates what I've been saying. Even the head coach agrees it's personnel. It's personnel, it's personnel, it's personnel. The thing that I've constantly said, and again, I'm going to try and not hurt some feelings, but if Middle Tennessee was given Nick Saban tomorrow, do you think that they'd win 10 games? No, because they don't have the personnel. That is the difference in this story. Bryce, Frank, Evero, Thomas Brown have not been given the tools to succeed. If I hand you 2 spoons and tell you to go light a fire in the next 10 minutes, you probably can't do it because you weren't given the tools. Just in case you guys have never seen it, I got a chef's knife. I was a chef for a very long time, including at a prestigious sports academy that a lot of you might know, IMG Academy. You know what we did? We spent the money on the best possible products. We spent the money where it mattered to make sure that the end product was what we wanted. You can't give somebody vegetables and tell them to make, beef stroganoff. So I think that this right here, I'm going to go back just a few seconds, so we're going to repeat this, but really listen to this and look at his mannerisms. He's normally very calm. He's not really telegraphing a whole lot, but look at how he's reacting as this question is being answered. Back a little. Go to here.
We want to be.
And just shout out, I did get this video from YouTube, from the Carolina Panthers. I play it on VLC, so when you see the plus or the play and pause, that's why you're seeing it.
But that's one of the advantages of.
I went a little far back. Let's go.
Bring an element to the run game on some of the RPO stuff that you don't have from under center.
Frank Reich said after the game, he called the game Thursday night, that you just don't have the players to run the offense that you want to run with Bryce. Is there an element of truth to that? And if so, how far away are you from having that?
And again, he literally just telegraphed, like, yes, that's what it is. But now he's going into head coach mode. He's going into these guys. I talk to these guys behind the scenes and do all this other stuff. I need to protect them. So now he's going to give you a head coach answer while kind of avoiding what he already telegraphed.
Yeah, no, listen, I love our play. We have all the players we need to.
Say he's going to do the head coach thing and say the right thing in the moment. I'm telling you, he literally just shook his head. Yes, take what he's telling you and do not overthink the room.
always evolving and developing as an offense? Yes, of course. So with the vision that we have for our offense this year, we don't need anybody else. We got
Can't right now, free agent wise, but there's a few options. But the trade deadline's passed. We can't trade. He's just got to take this. If this interview happened in week 2, I think this is a completely different conversation. And he says we're going to be looking towards the trade deadline. But because this is a post-trade deadline, he's just going to be like, no, man, we have everybody. We can succeed, blah, 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 blah. He's giving you the head coach answer, and that's what he should do. No offense. But obviously you can see with him shaking his head when he's asking the question that's what he believes.
Winning receivers, we got winning we have to just play winning football. And that starts with me. I have to do a better job as a head.
They takes it on the chin. Again, I'm going to put the tweet up again. I think that he's doing this to protect Evero. I think he's doing this to protect Thomas Brown, to protect the players and not hurt them. I think he's just going to take it all on the chin and let you guys just believe that he's washed. Obviously, he hasn't shown us a whole lot, but I'm just speculating here, guys. Just speculating, I promise.
Head coach, getting our offense playing more consistently to win football games, okay? But when I look at our groups, at our position groups, and I look at our opponents, I see opportunities to win. I see, we call plays, I watch tape, and when I watch the tape, I see plenty of evidence that we are making winning plays. Are we doing it consistently enough? No, we're not doing it consistently enough. Do we have the playmakers to win football games? Absolutely, we have the playmakers. Will the offense continue to evolve and adapt? Yes, it will continue to evolve and adapt. As over the years, as players, are added and you highlight whatever players do best. So I think all those things can be true.
Alex, you have one last question?
Frank, speaking about the Cowboys specifically, you kind of addressed this in your previous answer, but what kind of change in preparation happens when you're going against a team that is red hot, that has Super Bowl aspirations? I mean, just generally speaking, you preach, we don't change our preparation, but does anything change when you're going against such a high caliber team like?
What should have changed is we should have been like the Giants and sent a 7th round pick for Isaiah Simmons, but that's just me.
Yes, I think what you're saying, Alex, is exactly true. There's a both and. What changes is the matchups change and the schemes change that you're going against. So you're exactly right. From that aspect, it changes in how we game plan and approach it. I would think if you talk to most of the players, they might not admit it, but when you're going up against a hot team, guys, it's an opportunity.
And not just that, but I think the one thing that he's not going to say is that people get the jitters, people get react differently, and emotion comes into it and all that other stuff. This could absolutely be a trap game for the Cowboys. The Panthers could walk away with a win. Don't get me wrong; it would be even worse than the Arizona loss. But, geesh,
things have not been going well for us as a team. So it's an opportunity. It's a great opportunity to go up and prove that we're a good football team. We beat one good football team, but we need to beat another good football team. So we'll all get ready to play a good one this week. This team is hot. They have a lot of firepower on offense. They have some big-time playmakers on defense. They're good in all 3 phases. They're a well-coached team, and they got a lot of firepower. So it's a great challenge for us, and I think our coaching staff and our players are excited for that.
Thanks,
Frank,
Coach.
would you mind giving us an update on Burns, Henderson, and Sharp?
Burns and Henderson are doing well in the protocol. I'm optimistic. You can't ever know for sure with those things, but I'm optimistic. And DJ, I think, is making good progress. I think he's making good progress. I would anticipate good news with him this week.
Thoughts on this? I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I don't know what to believe. I don't know any of that. I'm just hoping that this press conference can kind of open a lot of people's eyes to what Frank can offer, how he's reacting to it, and just my analysis. Again, I'm not a Frank stan or anything like that. I liked him starting with the Panthers. Obviously, he hasn't been able to put a whole lot on the field, but I truly believe in the stoicism of Frank. Like I've told a lot of people, and like I've continued to push, it's been a personnel problem. It's been before the season ever started. And if you would have been here following me on roll coverage, you would have known that. The other thing, again, obviously schedule, injuries, all that other stuff. But I kept my cool. I kept telling everybody it's personnel. To have that validated by the head coach makes me feel even better about it. So for that, I give this press conference a B minus. Overall, I don't think that changes anybody's minds about Frank. If you end up getting all the way to the end of this video, shout out. It's probably 30 plus minutes long, so I really appreciate you being here this entire time. But I want to believe in my Carolina Panthers, and I have to believe in them from the head coach down. I don't believe in the owner. I'm never going to believe in the owner. He needs to really make some changes. And unfortunately, those changes are probably going to come with, and again, this is my speculation, he's either going to do it one of two ways. He's either going to fire Scott Fitterer, meaning mid-season, off-season, whatever, and then give him and Frank work together to find a GM to better build this team. Or he fires them both and lets Frank fall for Fitterer's failures, and then we're back to square one. I know a lot of people are talking about promote Evero, promote Thomas Brown, all this other stuff, but they're unproven. And a lot of people obviously said coming into this year that Frank was pretty unproven, that they didn't want an older guy. So I don't really know who we go out and get. Again, Eric Bieniemy is always the go-to, but I think that Ron Rivera gets fired. So Eric Bieniemy would obviously be the head coach at that point. I think that was always kind of the idea if they sucked. But again, I could also see Ron keeping his job and kind of keeping it going. But Eric Bieniemy will eventually be a head coach. Like I've told everybody, I think we should have thrown $25 million at him a year, no problem. Give him a $150 million contract for 6-7 years and just said, fuck it, and let's just go. Let's take the best offensive mind that we have right now and let's go figure this out. But got to deal with what we have. Again, B- grade. Good luck, Panthers. Keep pounding. Shout out to everybody following. Hopefully you like my analysis. I'm going to start doing more of these reactions and analysis on a more regular basis. Tomorrow, the 14th, I should have out the DJ Chark, and the 15th, I will have out the Laviska Shenault video of my breakdowns. Make sure to go check out my most recent one of Jonathan Mingo, where I believe we overdrafted him. This is Nick. This is Roll Coverage. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day. Drop your thoughts down below. I want to know. How you feeling? How's Frank Reich? How's his team? What's your solution? Don't tell me who you're firing. Who are you replacing them with?